All right, friends, today we're gonna talk about something I've wanted to make a video on since the iPhone 15 Pro when it came out last year, and that is Apple Log. And I've been shooting with it since then, and it's been so awesome, and I think it's worth covering for mobile filmmakers or pros, to be honest, because it's that good. Now, I'm actually shooting on the iPhone 16 Pro right now in Apple Log using the Final Cut camera, and I can only assume you wouldn't even have known unless I pointed it out, but Apple's changed the game when it comes to video quality, and what you can get out of the iPhone 15 Pro and 16 Pro is crazy, and I want to show you what it can do because it's actually a pretty big deal. Now, I've been traveling so much this year and I got a lot of footage from the Azores, I was in Japan, but I basically want to break down what makes Apple Log and ProRes so powerful because no other phone can do this, and for good reason. It's so niche, the average person would never ever need this or even care that their phone can do this. A lot of it just comes down to file sizes and the fact that you actually need to color grade this in post. So what is Apple Log? Because I'm feeling some of you might not know what it is. Well, it's basically just a flat picture profile that's going to capture a wider dynamic range, so your shadows and highlights. It's normal for modern cameras to shoot in log, but to have it in a phone, it's pretty crazy to see. Apple Log's going to allow you to have control over your footage in post, where you normally wouldn't be able to if you shot it in a standard picture profile or just a standard camera, because it's gonna look over-processed, over HDR, oversaturated, and some people might love how that looks, but it just looks like it was shot on a phone. And with Apple Log, you're gonna start with a clean slate, so it's not overly saturated, it's not contrasty. It's gonna let you color grade it to get it to look exactly how you want. So here's the power of Apple Log combined with ProRes. ProRes is just a high quality codec, meaning we're working with footage here that's gonna retain a ton of detail and a ton of information, especially for color grading. And you can see it here in action. I'm able to push and pull the colors and shadows without losing any quality. And that's huge for anyone that's working with serious footage that they might wanna cut in with their Pro mirrorless camera. And even in low light, it does a really nice job. And every time I pull these files into the computer to grade them, it's unbelievable that they were shot on a phone. All right, so I'm gonna jump over to the computer now and show you what you can actually do with these files in DaVinci Resolve. So this is one shot I have here from the Azores. I'm gonna show you what it's like when we throw a LUT on here. So there's a lot of different things you can do. You can use a conversion LUT. I'm just gonna throw phantom LUTs. That's what I use. We'll throw a phantom LUT neutral on here, and instantly it looks great. Now, if we look at our RGB here, we've got a lot more we can go in the shadows. And one thing I notice with Apple Log sometimes is that the shadows have a lot of blue and you have to correct for that. Because there's so much blue in the shadows here, I'm gonna actually pull the blue down a bit to correct that. And our highlights aren't blowing. We still got a bit of room here, but I'm still gonna pull them down a bit because they look a little spicy. But here's where Apple Log is awesome. Watch what happens when I pull down these highlights. You're gonna start to see these clouds come back. And so we can still actually pull the highlights down even more if we wanted to. And that's looking really good. I'm gonna bump the exposure up a tiny bit and warm up the image. And we got so much room on the shadows still, I can pull the shadows down. That looks so good. That is insane that that's coming from a phone. And so these are the type of LUTs that I would actually use on my A7S III. Now I got a couple more shots here. I don't wanna spend all day on this stuff, but I just kind of wanted to show you what you could do with it. Now, I bet I could probably use the exact same LUT on this and it would look just as good. So we're gonna go LUT. Actually, no, let's try Utopia. Ooh, that looks so good right out of the gate. But again, you see how much blue is in these shadows. So I'm gonna pull the blue channel down a bit in the shadows. Already looking sick. We can warm this up a bit. And that looks like a frickin' postcard. That looks so good. Play that while we're driving through here. Oh, this was 4K 60, I think. So we can actually slow this down too. Now, this is obviously not a color grading video, not a color grading tutorial at all. I just wanted to show you how quick it is to grade Apple Log because it looks so good. That doesn't look like it was shot on a phone. And that's the best part about shooting Apple Log is that it doesn't look like it's shot on a phone. Here's another shot. This is Shinjuku, Japan. Just walking through a crowd of people. Put a LUT on that one as well. Let's try some Utopia. That looks sick. Pull some of that blue out of the shadows. Our shadows are perfect here. Our highlights are good. We can even bring up the midtones if we wanted to. I mean, this was supposed to be a night shot. I'm gonna pull the highlights back a little bit. But watch what happens when I pull the shadows. You can get all that detail out of the shadows here, like the backpack and the coats and stuff like that. So I'm gonna bring that back down because we can leave it here, but just to show what you can do with Apple Log. Looks so good. I'm always impressed when I look at Apple log footage. But yeah, that kind of just gives you an idea of what it's like working with this footage. So the sponsor of this video is Lexar, and I've been showing off this new SSD they came out with, the Professional Go. First off, it's so tiny. Look at this thing. Plug it in the back of the phone here, and look how compact and nice that setup is. Now this drive does come in 1 terabyte and 2 terabytes, and it has the read and write speeds of around 1,000 megabytes a second read and write. So it has no problem recording ProRes or Apple log 4K 120 frames per second, which you actually need an external storage device to record that anyway, doing Apple log, especially when using the native camera app. And this is probably the best setup right here. It's so small. Now it also comes with a hub, and this just plugs into the hub just like this. And the hub also has a U-shaped adapter on it, and you can plug that into the back of the phone here, just like this. Now the cool thing about the hub is that you can still have the drive connected, but you now get 2 USB-C ports, so you can attach an accessory to one side and charge your phone off the other. And I want to show you that right now because I got the DJI Mic 2 that you can actually plug into the bottom of the phone here, and that'll continue to allow you to use audio. So you can see we've got audio levels up here coming in from the DJI Mic 2, and then we can plug in a charger, so we can charge the phone off this. And now we're charging up here. You can see it's charging. So we got charging, and we got audio coming in off this hub. So the hub allows you to have the drive and all these accessories, and I'll show some B-roll of how I had it set up while I was doing the talking head from the other angle, because I had all of these things plugged in. And the cool thing is they also have this adapter that gives you a 1/4-20 to a cold chew or hot chew, so you could mount this on the top of a cage on your phone, and then you can have all this stuff connected up, and you can have it on like a gimbal or something like that. So they thought of everything if you want to rig up your phone. I'll have links in the description where you can find this SSD and maybe pick up one for yourself. Thanks to Lexar for sponsoring this video. Now, while the native camera app does a really good job with ProRes and Apple log, and so does the Final Cut camera app as well, most of us kind of want more control over our images, so ISO, shutter speed, and the file size. So I've been mostly shooting with the Blackmagic Camera app, and the Blackmagic app lets you control basically anything manually, which means you can dial in every detail like a real camera. The only setting you can't change is aperture because that's fixed on the iPhone, but the UI is decent, and this turns your phone into like a little mini cinema camera, especially if you get an ND filter for it, because then you can rock that 180-degree shutter rule, and it looks awesome. It's a little bit more filmic and more like a real camera. The other dope thing is it lets you choose the type of ProRes or Kodak you want, so you can shoot with smaller file sizes, because the native camera app shoots in like ProRes HQ, which is super unnecessary. It's huge. Same with the Final Cut camera app I'm using right now. It's just massive, but I want to show you what it looked like. But in the Blackmagic app, you can actually shoot in H.265, and the files are way smaller. This way you don't really have to worry about running out of storage compared to shooting with the native camera app, because it eats up so much storage. It still shoots 10-bit, looks awesome. I haven't really seen a huge difference in terms of dynamic range, but depending on your scene and how much movement you got going on, you might see a bit of macro blocking. Now, they just updated the app, so you can actually choose different bit rates of H.265 instead of just the one. So you can shoot even smaller files in 10-bit log. So that's mainly how I've been shooting with this app until I actually got this little Lexar mini SSD. Now I actually shoot ProRes 422 or LT, because that's kind of the sweet spot for awesome quality without massive files. I highly recommend you check it out. I think it's free, so why not try it out? All right, that's Apple log and ProRes in a nutshell. At the end of the day, it's honestly wild that we have this level of power in a phone. Apple didn't have to go and do it, but they did. And while most people might not ever even touch these settings, for filmmakers and content creators like us, it's a game changer. I hate saying game changer, but I really feel that it is. It's super niche, but it definitely puts the iPhone in leagues ahead of any other mobile phone out there when it comes to video and creative control. Apple log isn't really just a feature. It's basically a tool that gives us creators mirrorless level quality video right in our pockets. And I sound like such a fanboy, but it really is that good. And I think I'll end the video here. If you'd like to give it a thumbs up, if you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. See you guys in the next one. Boom.